Hello everyone and welcome back to a new series in which we are going to learn Material UI version 5. A lot of you were requesting videos on Material UI from a long time. So here I am providing you the content. I hope you will like it, and before starting the video make sure to press that like button and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. Now let's begin with our first question. What is Material UI? So Material UI is basically a set of guidelines, okay, for creating user facing applications. Like you can see the websites, these are all using some form of design system, and among these design system Material UI is very famous, okay, and it's used by very large companies. So companies on every scale, small to large, are using Material UI to build their application. So that's why we are learning it here. So let's start with discussing the actual meaning of Material UI. Material UI, you can say, is a React component library. If you are familiar with React, okay, then you must be aware about the component systems. So in Material UI, you are basically going to get a set of components which are following some guideline, and these guidelines are known as Google's material design. And let me show you what is Google's material design. If you visit this site m3.material.io, you will be able to find all of the guidelines that is published by Google. Every company uses its own design system. Material is a very famous among them, and here you can see we have various components, okay. As you can see, if you just click on, let's say, buttons, okay, let me show you, then you can see there is some rules and guidelines on how we should design the buttons, and all of the Android applications are using material designs, okay, and we can also use material design in websites. So I hope I cleared this definition that Material UI is basically a component library, okay, which is specifically built for React applications, and behind the scenes it's using some guidelines which is known as Google's material design guidelines, okay. And you must also keep this in mind that Material UI is an open source library, and it is basically providing you some pre-built components which are ready for production, okay. So that's the basic definition of Material UI. Now moving on to how we can use this in our application, okay. So before we even install Material UI and start a project using this, I like to show you how we are going to use it. It's very simple, just like you use components, okay, basic HTML components like button, okay, link, all these can be Material UI is very similar to that, okay. You just get some pre-built component, you have to import that from the library and use it in your application like I have shown you here. So as you can see here, we are showing three buttons, okay, and we are customizing them using this property which is known as variant, okay. So we'll discuss in depth what are the different props that are available in each component, how we can style it, how we can customize it, okay. But the basic motto of showing this example to you is that how you can use components from Material UI in your application. Now let's actually start a new project, okay, and then we are going to show you how you can also use those components in your application. So we are going to just create a new application using Byte, okay. So here I have opened my terminal, as you can see, and I am currently on desktop. So I'm just going to type here sudo npm create, okay, and for this you must have Byte already installed in your computer, okay. So here I'm just going to enter my password, and if you are working on a Windows machine, then you don't need to type this sudo. So here you just have to press yes to continue, okay. Then it is going to ask you the project name. Here I'm just going to call it MUI, okay. Then it is going to ask you to select a framework. Here we are going to use React, okay. Then currently we are using just JavaScript to demonstrate what we are doing. Then you can see we can now use these commands, okay. So cd mui, then you have to run this npm install, and the next command that we will have to run is npm run dev, and we would get our application. So let's wait for these dependencies to install first of all. Okay, so now as you can see I am getting this error, cannot read properties of null reading pick algorithms. Okay, so if you get this error, what you have to do is just clear your cache, and let me show you how you can do it. So now we are going to write a command to clear the cache. Okay, and here is how you can do it: sudo npm and then write cache. Okay, clear and then -f, like this. Okay, so this way you are going to clear the cache first of all, then again we are going to run that command npm install. Now as you can see our dependencies have been installed, so the next thing we can do is open this code base in our code editor. So here I am going to write code dot. Okay, so this is going to open this in my vs code. Okay, as you can see we have our application and we also have our dependencies installed. Now the next step is to run this application, so I'm going to write this command npm run dev. Okay, and now you can see our application is running on localhost port 5173. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this. Okay, then I'll first of all open up my Chrome browser. Okay, so here is my Chrome browser, and now I'm going to go to this URL localhost 5173. Okay, and now you can see we have our application up and running here, white application. Then the next step is to actually install MUI. Okay, so let's see how we can install Material UI in our application. Okay, before that let's also understand why we are actually using Material UI. Okay, so there are three main reasons that I'm going to tell you. First of all, it's going to provide you beautiful design. That means you don't have to do everything like write all of the css on your own. It comes with some pre-built component with some pre-built styles. Okay, so that's one of the reason why we are using Material UI. And the second factor is customization. It offers various ways. Okay, like styled components, you can also do inline. Okay, so there are many ways to customize Material UI components, and one of the best ways is to use global style overrides, which comes under the theming part. Okay, we will be discussing that later on in this series. Okay, and then the next reason for using Material UI is version support. Okay, coming on to the current topic, how we are going to install MUI. So you just have to run this command npm install @MUI/material, and these are two packages. Okay, which are also going to be needed. Okay, for the styling part, so we need to run this command. Okay, you can also find it here if you just visit mui.com. Okay, and click on this products and then MUI core, then click on Material UI and get started. Okay, here you have this installation, click on it and you will get this command. I'm just going to copy it from here. Okay, then I'll run it in my terminal. So coming on to my project, I'm going to open up a terminal window. Okay, inside my VS code, then I'll just run this command npm install. Okay, then you can see we are installing these three packages. Press enter. Yeah, so now these packages are installed. So the next step is to just go inside the source directory and then visit this app.jsx. Here you can see some boilerplate code. Okay, firstly we are going to remove all this boilerplate code. Okay, and then I'm also going to remove all these things which are not getting used. Then the next step is to just save this. Okay, and go back, see how our application is looking right now. So you can see we got this blank screen. Okay, with black background, and that is because of this css file that we are importing over here. Okay, so if you want you can also remove that. So for now I'm just going to get a plain white background, so I'm removing that css file as well. There is one more thing. We have this index.css which is also imported inside your main.jsx, so that is why we also have to remove this css file from main.js. Okay, and then after that we get this white background. Okay, Now going back to our app.jsx file, first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to use a simple button component from Material UI. Okay, so if you already know this, just bear it with me, okay, for 2 minutes. So here first of all I'm going to import that component from Material UI, and the best way to do is just write import and then button. Here you will see this auto, okay, suggestion. You can import button from @mui/material. Now here it's saying that button is imported but it's never used, so let's use it, okay, down here. So what I'm going to do, just like a simple component, you can write this button like this, okay, and here you can write the whatever text you want, okay, for this button, like click me, okay, then save it, and you can see here we got our button. Now in the example, okay, I have shown you that there are various possibilities, like we can use this prop variant and it has several values like text, content, outline. So this is just an example. There are various props and each prop is going to have multiple values, and we are going to discuss how you can find a list of all of the props available and what are the values they are going to accept. Okay, so let's try this button. Okay, I'm going to repeat it 3 times, and then here I'm going to use this prop variant. First of all I'm going to pass this text, okay, then in the next I'm going to write, you can also press this control and spacebar, okay, to get all of the options available. So here you can see we have 3 options: text, content and outline. We have already used text, so this time I'm going to use outline, and then the next variant is going to be contained, like this. Okay, now save this, and here you see we have three different types of buttons. Okay, so this is the basics. You have learned how to use Material UI in our application, what is Material UI, okay, why we are using it. Now moving on to the next part. Okay, so just now I have shown you how to use Material UI components in your application. Just import and use it after installation, and you get this type of result. Okay, then let's first discuss what are the different types of components that are provided by Material UI in version 5. So here you can find the list of all of the components, okay, and I'm also going to provide you an ebook which is going to contain very detailed explanation for each of these components with various examples. So for that, make sure to subscribe to this channel, and also you should join our Discord group, okay, and also make sure to follow us on Instagram, because I'm going to post various community updates on both channels. So if you don't want to miss out, then please subscribe and also follow us on Instagram. Okay, so this is the list you can see here. Okay, and this list is not exhaustive. Here we have more components and then more components. So overall, Material UI is providing most of the components that you are going to need inside your application. Okay, so this is one of the major reason why we are preferring Material UI over other libraries. We have finished the first agenda of our video, and that is explaining what is Material UI, how to use it, why we are using it. Then the next thing and issue, or you can say major problem where most people find it difficult, is how to create layout, okay, using any library. If you know how to create layout using one library, let's say MUI, then you will be able to understand it, okay, and apply it on your own using other libraries as well. So pay attention over here. Okay, so by layout, what do you understand? As you can see, I have shown you an example over here. Layout is basically how we place things. Okay, so if you see an application, okay, let's say you go to amazon.com, okay, so you must see that there is a common type of layout that every application is using nowadays. That is, they have some kind of banner, then some top navigation, then sidebar, then here goes the main page content, then at the bottom there is a footer, and from every 4 sides there is a container which is wrapping the whole content. So this is a general layout, and how we are going to achieve this. Okay, there are some specific components which are made just for creating layouts, and these components are box, container, grid and stack. In this video we are going to learn each of these components in detail. Okay, so let's first start with the box component. This is the easiest of them all. Okay, box, you can understand it just like a div. It's just a simple container, you can say, not even container, just a simple box. Okay, it is going to provide you a box with four sides, and it has some properties, or you can say it has some props which are coming from the MUI. So that is why we have written here that box is a generic theme aware container. Okay, this is not a simple div, it's a theme aware container which is also going to have access to some CSS utilities. By CSS utilities here I mean some properties like sx. Okay, inside that, if you want to provide some padding, we don't have to write style and then padding, we can just write sx and then p, then the value of padding. So I'm going to show it to you in detail. Okay, don't sweat it out, this is just a definition. Now let's understand what is box. Okay, by some example. So here I'm going to remove these buttons from the screen. Okay, and then I'm going to use this box component from material UI, as you can see over here. Okay, and this box can have some children. Okay, so for now there is no children, but here I'm just going to write this comment that you can pass some children over here. Then instead of styling this box, okay, like, let's first save it. Okay, and then see what we get on our screen. So there is nothing visible. Okay, why? Because there is simply a box which is getting rendered on our screen, and its height width is 0. It doesn't have any border color, so that is why you are not able to see it right now. So we are now going to style it. So first of all, let's use this style, okay, prop. So first of all, let's use this style prop. Here I'm going to write, first of all, let's give it some height and width. So height will be 100. Okay, then width will also be 100. Then I'm also going to give it a border property. Okay, and here I'm going to write 1 pixel solid red. Okay, now after saving this, you can see here we get a box which is having a height and width of 100, and its border color is red with 1 pixel width. Now we can also achieve this using sx. Okay, so if I save this, then you can see there is no change. That means this sx is working just like its style. Okay, so this is a MUI utility function. Okay, sx. So you can only use this sx property in MUI components. So that is why I have written here that this box is just a simple container, generic container, which is also theme aware, and it has access to CSS utilities from MUI system. So this is what I mean, like, it has some special properties which are only applicable to MUI components. I hope I made it clear. Okay, so this is just a simple box. This is our first component in layout. Okay, that's it for this component. Then moving on to the container. Okay, this one is a bit tricky, and it's also very easy to understand. Like, there is only one function for container. It is used to horizontally center your content. I have written here, you can see this component centers your content horizontally. That means it's going to provide equal space from left and right. Okay, you must have already used this in many different libraries, so I'm not going to spend much time on it. And there are two types of container which is provided by MUI. First one is fluid container, and the second is a fixed container. Okay, now let's see an example for both of these components. So here in our application, okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to center this box component using container. So let's see how we can do that. I'm just first of all going to use this container component, and it will be auto imported from material UI library, as you can see over here. Then we are going to wrap this box inside container like this. Okay, so I'm not going to pass any prop. Let's first see what happens if I save this. So you see, earlier the box was slightly on the left side. Now it has shifted to the right side a little bit. And if you inspect this page, okay, let me show it to you. If you inspect this page, then you can see there is some green area. This is the padding which is provided by the container. Okay, so this is the container which is wrapping our box, and it is providing it equal space from both left and right side. Now there are two types of container I just told you. One is fluid and the second is fixed. So what is fluid container? Fluid container is bound by the max width value. So here is a prop that we can pass, which is called max width. Okay, and here inside max width, if you want to know what options are available, just press this control plus spacebar, and you can see we have these 5 options: LG, MD, SM, XL and XS. I hope you already know this. In case you don't, let me tell you, these are breakpoints. Okay, so each styling, or you can say each design system, comes with its own breakpoints. In material UI we have these 5 breakpoints. Okay, LG means large, MD is medium, SM is small, XL is extra large, and XS is extra small. For now let's just use SM. Okay, and see what happens. You can see the before result. Okay, then if I save this, then you can see this is the after result. Okay, what happened? Our container is now taking even more space from both left and right side. Okay, and now we have bound this container. Okay, that there is a value for SM. Let me show it to you. I have already mentioned it in the slides. Okay, so here we have these 5 breakpoints. Let's understand these breakpoints. First one is extra small. Extra small means 0 pixel. Small means 600 pixel. Okay, medium stands for 900 pixel, LG for 1200, and extra large for 1536 pixels. Okay, now if you just go back to this application, okay, and you see this container, here you can see what is written. This container is having width of 600, right? So this 600 is actually coming from this SM. I just told you that SM stands for 600 pixel. Now what this container is actually doing, it's telling its children that they have to be inside this 600 pixel space. Okay, whatever space was there on the left and right side, it has shrinked all of the component inside this 600 pixel width. Okay, so this is your fluid container. Okay, so I hope you understood the concept of fluid container. Okay, and we are also going to discuss this other type, which is called as fixed container. To explain that, I am going to use an application. Okay, so that will be used in a later application on this channel. So let's now move on to our next component for the layout, and that is grid. You must have already used grid. Okay, and it's basically used for two-dimensional layout. Like if you want to align few things horizontally as well as vertically. Okay, then in that case we are going to prefer grid. That is the rule of thumb. If you are placing something in both horizontal and vertical direction, then we are going to use grid. And for the other component, which is stack, we are only going to use it when we have to make some layout in such a manner that we are aligning few things either horizontally or vertically. Okay, so in that case we will be using stack. So first of all, let's discuss grid. This is based on CSS Flexbox module system. Okay, if you are familiar with Flexbox, then you must know various properties. Like first of all, we have to set display to flex, then flex direction, spacing, all those things. Okay, those same properties and values are going to be available in grid as well. And there are two types of grid. The first one is container and the second is items. let's understand this with the help of an example. So here I'm again going to remove this box. Okay, I'm going to show you how to make a grid. Okay, first of all, let's just write here grid. Okay, then I'm going to import it from material UI. First thing that we have to do is just write this container, okay, inside this grid. Then again we are going to use grid component, okay, but this time we are going to pass this prop which is called item. So this is just to indicate that this grid is going to function as a container for other items. Okay, so each container can have multiple items. Okay, so I think the idea is very clear that there are two types of grid: container and item. Container is basically the one which is going to wrap all of the items inside it. Then now we have written these three items. Okay, then inside this I'm just going to use a box, a simple box. Okay, again box will be imported from material UI. Then for this box I'm just going to give it height of, let's say, 50. Okay, and I will say that it's going to take width, whatever width is available to it, 100%. Okay, then let's also provide it some border value. So its border is going to be again 1 pixel solid red, like this. Okay, then I'm going to do this same thing inside these other grid items as well. Now let's format this, and if I save this, you can see we have this red borders appearing over here. One thing that we can do over here is this grid container, that is the parent which is wrapping the three items, is it's currently having this width. Okay, minimum width. Let's just provide it the full width, whatever is available. Okay, so for that I'm just going to wrap it inside a box. Okay, then for this box here I'm again going to use this sx prop. Then I'll just write over here width is going to be 100 vw. Here vw means viewport width. Okay, then I'm going to just cut this grid container part, paste it inside box. And then one thing we have to do is inside this grid container you can say sx and then width 1. Here if you say width 1, that means you are telling it to use all of the available width. Okay, now after that you can see there is no change, and that is because currently we have not specified how much width each of these grid items should take. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use breakpoint to specify how much width this particular item is going to occupy. Okay, and let me tell you, there is a we divide the whole width into 12 parts. Okay, and let's say if I write here for medium screen, here MD means for medium screen, I'm saying that it should occupy 4. So 4 out of 12 is 1/3. Similarly, I'm going to tell the other grid item to also take 1/3 width and again 1/3 width. So I am basically dividing the whole width, which is 12, into 4 parts. Okay, so here you can see we have three boxes with equal width. Okay, now I'm going to do one thing. Let's make this last one 5, and for this first one I'm going to make it 3. Okay, now save it, and then you can see this one is 3, then 4, and then 5. So now you can see how this grid system is going to work. Okay, if I just place another grid, okay, with 5, then you can see it is coming down over here. Okay, so when the whole width is occupied, then it's automatically going to align itself, or you can say it will be moved downward. So that is the benefit of using grid. It is two dimensional. Okay, similarly there are various properties, like let's say if we want some spacing between these grid items, then we can also achieve that. The best way to do that is just pass this prop spacing. Okay, so let's say I want spacing 2. Okay, for each of the grid container. So here you can see there is now some space between each of the container. Okay, so we'll be discussing this spacing again when we discuss the theming part. Okay, here when I'm writing 2, this 2 means 2 times of 8 pixel. Okay, that means 16 pixel. If you just inspect, okay, then you will find that this spacing between each grid item is 16 pixels. So I hope I made this idea very clear. Okay, similarly, to make it responsive, you can use breakpoints. Like, let's say I am telling it that for a small screen, okay, you have to take half of the width. Okay, so here I am writing 6. Then again I'm going to do this to all of the grid items. We have 4. I'm going to write it like this. So 6 is half of 12. That means each grid item is going to take half of the width, okay, when it meets this breakpoint SM. You can also again check what is SM. SM is 600 pixel. So now I'm going to resize my screen and let's see if at 600 pixel all of these containers are occupying the same space or not. Okay, here you can see these boxes are already equal space. If I just turn on this responsive mode, okay, and now I'm going to just resize it. Here you can see on the top, okay, the width, as soon as it hits 600, okay, these boxes are taking equal width. Okay, and if we go above the MD, okay, here we have specified this another breakpoint which is MD, and MD stands for 900 pixel. So let's go above 900 pixel and see if the layout turns different. Okay, so here I have made some space and then currently we have 810 pixel width. Then again I'm going to resize it. Okay, pay attention, as soon as it hit 900, currently it's 899. Okay, it's following the SM rule because it's above the SM but below MD, so that is why that SM rule is applying. So as soon as I go to 900, you can see MD, the property that we have specified here, that on medium size screen you should take 3, you should take 4, you should take 5 and 5. So that rule is applying. Okay, this is very similar to the other libraries like Bootstrap. Okay, so I hope I made this very clear. You can use grid for two-dimensional layout. The last component for layout, and that is stack. This is very similar, okay, like what we discussed in grid. There is just one thing that is different here. Stack is not going to push its children to the next row, or you can say that when we added this fourth item over here and there was not enough space in this row, okay, then it was pushed, okay, downward. But that is not going to happen in case of stack. In stack, all of its children are going to be either in the horizontal direction or in the vertical direction. Okay, so that is the main difference. Let's now see some example of stack. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm again going to remove this grid. Okay, let's remove this grid, and now I'm going to write this stack component over here. You are going to get those slides. Okay, I'll put the link in the description box. Also we have our website live, which is learn.codingmonk.in. You can find that link in the channel page, okay, and also in the description box. Make sure to sign up over there. Okay, you can also find this ebook, PDF and all of the other assets on our site. So now we have this stack component. Okay, then next thing we are going to do is we are going to write, let's say we write button over here. We are going to make 3 buttons. Okay, and then I'm going to pass this variant prop and set it to contain. Okay, then this is, let's say I'm going to write here click me. Similarly I'm going to make 2 other buttons. Okay, now let's see what happens. You can see we got 3 buttons, but they are all stacked one upon another. And that is because there is a property, okay, inside stack which is known as direction. and by default the direction is column. There are two possible values, row and column. You can either align items using stack in a row or in a column. By default, the value for this prop, which is known as direction, is set to column. Okay, so that is why these items are appearing one above the another. And if I set it to row, then you can see immediately it's shifting all of the children. That means all of the content inside stack inside a row. Now we want to do one thing. We want some spacing between each of these children. So what we can do in that case, we can just say here spacing equals 2. Okay, by 2 I mean 2 times of 8 pixel. Okay, I am going to explain it to you later why 1 is equal to 8 pixel. Okay, that will be under theming part. So here you can see, just by providing that spacing prop, you can get some space over here. Okay, similarly, if you want, let's say if you want to use other properties of flexbox system, because I just told you that stack is using flexbox from css behind the scenes. Okay, so you can also use other properties like align items. Okay, so here I'm just going to say center, then justify content. Okay, let's use justify content space between. Okay, and see what happens. If I just save this, you can see, just like in a flexbox system in css, this space between property is acting exactly similar. Okay, so all of the buttons are placed as far as possible. Okay, the other two are at the extreme position, and the middle, and the second one is at the middle position. So you can also now change row to column, which is also the default value of direction. Okay, then you can see it is now appearing in a column fashion. So I hope I made these things very clear to you. These are the very basics of material UI. Okay, and I'm going to provide these slides and also an ebook with various example for each of the component. So I hope you like this video. Then make sure to leave a comment down there. Okay, in the comment section, I'm going to reply to all of your comments. Okay, and make sure to join our Discord channel, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe our YouTube channel. So that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.